This is a story about how I went from being homeless to making $10,000 a month in my graphic design business. I was homeless. And some people don't believe me when I tell them that fact about myself, but I was. My life was focused on making money and as much money as I could possibly make because I was living paycheck to paycheck. And $10,000 felt like a fantasy to me back then when I was carrying everything I owned in 2 trash bags. Nowadays, those uncomfortable nights really just feel like a distant memory for me. And now I'm making $10,000 a month in a job that I absolutely love. And sometimes I can't believe how far I've come. So in this video, you're gonna see that it wasn't smooth sailing the whole time, but with my unstoppable sense of grit, I slowly made things work for my life and I really turned it around. And that's why I'm really making this video, because absolutely everything is figure outable and anything is possible. So if I can do it, then you can do it too. I'll be sharing the exact methods and strategies I use to attract high-ticket design clients, allowing me to raise my rate and to constantly stop chasing clients. So if you're tired of working for less than you deserve, this might be the most important video you watch all year. Let's get into it. All right. It started in 2011. I was kicked out and I had nowhere to go. Kind of couch surfed for a little bit. And then I ended up going and staying at a homeless shelter, carrying everything I owned in 2 trash bags. I didn't let this keep me down and depressed though. I really tried to get up every day and try to do something to make my life better. I ended up quitting high school. Everybody thought I was crazy for that decision, but I really didn't care. I knew it was right for me. And I went and got my GED and I worked 3 jobs to save enough for my first vehicle. It was a gold Acura, and I'll never forget the feeling of sitting in the driver's seat and being like, wow, I really did that. It was a really good feeling and it really helped me to feel unstoppable. Like I could do it, and it was the exact fuel I needed to keep going. I think within a month, I actually ended up enrolling in college. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to be, but I knew I wanted to be an art teacher or a graphic designer. So I enrolled in as many of those type of classes as they would let me. And I did that for about 2 semesters. I ended up dropping out of design school because they weren't teaching me anything I didn't already know. And I was really frustrated because I was paying a lot of money for these textbooks and for the college courses. And I just decided, you know what? I'm gonna drop out of this. I can work my way up somewhere. I'm gonna go into the job force. These design skills came from high school for me and me just playing on my own. At the library, they had Illustrator installed, and so I would go there sometimes just to practice or make different things to pass the time. And it was the only place that had free internet, so I spent a lot of time just screwing around creating things. My high school graphic design teacher was always my very favorite teacher, and she taught me everything I know. I ended up getting married in 2014 to the love of my life. We started dating when I was 16 and we got married when I was 19. And because we now had this apartment to pay for, I wanted something different. So I applied and I got the job at a front desk, and I ended up managing their marketing accounts because nobody at the company knew how to do it or wanted to do it. So I just raised my hand, stepped in, and said, I'll do it. And they didn't give me a bump in pay, but they gave me extra responsibilities. And I thought back then, if I did enough and proved myself, that they would eventually either promote me or give me a bump in pay. This was really the ideal role for me because it allowed me to be really creative and use my talents to shine. And I got to really highlight the services that we were doing for our seniors, and I just really enjoyed it. I really started to notice like the little patterns and details and picked up on these like emotional responses that people were talking about whenever they would drop their parents off with us and have their senior parents move in, and they would be kind of scared and apprehensive, and I just kind of picked up on that, and I ended up making a marketing campaign that got us 7 new clients in 1 month, which was kind of unheard of for our company. And that's when I really started to realize that I was different and I didn't quite see things how other people did. Now, between the year of 2014 and 2020, I had quite a few different jobs. I ended up getting promoted. The company really liked what I was doing on social media, so they asked me to kind of lean over into their sales department, and I really helped them with that. But I was never 100% happy with what I was doing, but I just kept climbing the ladder because I thought that's what you're supposed to do. If you didn't go to college, you climbed the corporate ladder. Now, this takes us to all the way to 2020. I was making $70,000 a year, making the most money that I ever had, but I was working really hard. I was working 12-hour days. I was so exhausted. I was working so much, barely seeing my husband, and we lived an hour away from where my job was, so I was commuting an hour both ways every single day. I really had too many responsibilities on my plate. I was managing a full team, marketing and the sales department, and also trying to oversee our whole community. It was a massive undertaking, and I was experiencing burnout to the fullest. That's when I realized that I could do this for myself. That's when I realized I could take all of these amazing marketing campaigns, all of these design skills that I had, and I could go do that for me. I was making this company millions of dollars off of my marketing strategies and my design, and I wasn't getting any type of bonuses or anything. So I started to think, why make somebody else rich off of my ideas when I could go do that for myself? And it wasn't all about money for me, but when there was no appreciation for all of the hard work that I was doing, they rewarded me with more work. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna see myself out. So I went home that night and I asked my husband, and I said, honey, here's what I want to do. Give me 3 months that I can prove that this will work. And if it doesn't, I'll go back to corporate. And he said, okay. And he said, I believe you can do it. And that was all I needed. Within that first 3 months, it was wild. I sent out my first $500 website proposal. And the moment that proposal left my screen, I knew I had undercharged for it. So the next client who came in my inbox, I doubled the price. He paid it. And I was like, okay, let's do it. And every single client I had, I doubled it, because I really knew that what I had was special and that these women needed my services. They needed this online presence transformation, and they had these amazing services to sell, but they didn't know how to put themselves out there. After 3 months of doing this, my husband and I had saved enough money so that we could start the IVF process. We've been struggling with infertility our entire marriage, and we always tried to save, but we could never quite get there. And when we realized that, holy crap, we could do it, that was a game changer for us. And I knew I needed to hire help if I wanted to keep going at the rate I was going. So I made my first hire. I was primarily focusing on beauty-based businesses because my mom, my stepmom, my sister owned their own salon. So I knew exactly what these women needed. I wasn't achieving $10,000 a month yet, but I knew I was close. Now, at this point, I had raised my rates to about $4,000 website and brand packages, and I felt pretty good about it. Then I really started scaling my business because I knew that $10,000 a month was possible because other designers were talking about it, and I just hadn't quite figured out how to nail it yet. Then I learned about the one concept method from Kinsey, and that honestly changed so much for me. We were closing deals quicker, we were having less revisions, and clients were happier because they weren't confused with all these options we were giving them. And from there, I raised my rates again. The next chapter of this story is titled Raising a Family. We ended up having a successful egg retrieval the first time, and we had a fresh egg transfer, and it stuck. We implanted 2 embryos right here. This is, I like to say that this is the first picture I'll ever have of my babies, and who gets to have this picture? Science is so cool. And we ended up having our babies in early January 2022, and it was wild. I was booked and busy. I was on my laptop while recovering from a C-section. I look back at that now and I wish that I didn't do that, but the babies came early. So I did what I had to do. Within the first couple of months of being home, I ended up raising my prices again because now we had these 2 new little blessings that we had to buy diapers for. And diapers for twins are very expensive. So we raised prices again. I ended up hiring another team member and I was juggling 2 newborns and 2 businesses. Later that year, I ended up launching my signature service called the Royal Treatment, where my clients could get everything they needed for their online transformation. This included brand identity design, website design, and creative direction. And we upped the price to $8,000 for this package. And that was a game changer for us. The women I was working with loved that they could have everything all together under one umbrella and they didn't have to, pick this package and then this one and then that one. They just got everything all together. This allowed us to start having $10,000 a month consistently, and we were booked out for 4 months at a time. 2022 was the year I became a mom, and it was also the year that I reached 6 figures consistently. And that is incredible. I'll never forget it. It was the most wild, chaotic, blurry year of my life, but I loved it. And it really taught me that business is like a roller coaster. 2023 freaked me out. It brought 2 slow months back to back with no inquiries, and it really caused me to panic because I didn't know how I was going to pay my nanny. I was even looking at letting her go and having me just watch the kids and try to plan my meetings around nap time. And that was a horrible idea, but a mom's got to do what a mom's got to do. Suddenly, an old client actually ended up returning to me after not talking to me for 6 months, and I was absolutely shocked. She paid upfront in full for a $13K project, and the timing of it was absolutely insane because the very next day was my nanny's payday, and up until that point, I had no idea how I was going to pay her payroll. I bawled a lot that night. Business is a roller coaster, and not the cute theme park kind. It's the kind where your stomach drops unexpectedly and you're gripping the bar wondering if you're built for this. But what I've learned is that the dips don't mean you're failing. The highs aren't a fluke. Reinvention doesn't require you to burn it all down. There's no such thing as design emergency in our industry, and don't let your clients tell you otherwise. There are things that feel urgent, like the quiet weeks, the ghosted inquiries, the pressure to post something, anything, but what's urgent is rarely important, and what's important doesn't always feel urgent. I learned that from my friend Pablo. It's really stuck with me throughout this whole experience. I built a business through seasons that almost broke me. And I've stood in the sunlight with tears in my eyes and twins on each hip, wondering what I did to deserve a life like this. That's the duality I live by. That's the duality you can live by too when you start building your 6-figure design business. I realized that sometimes the most powerful thing I could do for myself and my creativity was to put my phone down, turn off my MacBook, and go outside, water my plants, and remember that the seeds that I'm planting in my business every day are still growing. I can't see it bloom yet. You have to stop and smell the roses while you're still building the garden. So when the ride gets wild, you don't jump off the roller coaster. You just simply adjust your grip. You remember your why and you keep going. Not because it's easy, but because it's yours. So that's the story of how I went from homeless to consistently making $10,000 a month in my design business. And if I can do it, a girl with 2 trash bags, twin toddlers, and 0 design degree, then you can do it too. That's why we created Design Biz Academy. It's the course I wish I had when I was first building my design business. Inside DBA Academy, we teach designers how to think like creative directors, structure high-ticket offers, and stop playing it small. One of our students, Veronica, ended up landing her first high-ticket client while still in the program without a design degree, just a strategy and a belief in herself. If you're ready to stop charging like a freelancer and start operating like a business owner, you can click the first link in the description to apply today. And if you apply in the next month, we'll give you $500 off. So make sure to check that out as soon as possible. Make sure to like and subscribe if you found this video relatable or motivational in any way. I would love to read the comments. I want you to feel inspired by this because you can do it. We all encounter hardships in our lives, but you can't let those hardships keep you down. You just need to start believing in yourself. That's the first step. Finally, you can click here on the screen to watch Coach Kinsey's story of becoming a graphic designer and how she scaled up to 30K months. That's all for today. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you in the next video.